So what I'm going to be doing in this next section is I'm going to be inviting you to, like I told you earlier, I have a new mastermind program I'm launching in March. So by the end of this section, I'm going to be inviting you to that if you feel like this is a good next step for you and if it's something you're interested in. It's a unique new program that will give you the step-by-step system and the support that you need to speak with confidence, to get booked on stages and start getting your message out there, to hone your messages and your stories, learn those speaking skills, but also actually get yourself out there on different stages so that you can have more visibility and be out in front of more people, which then starts building your community, building your following, attracting clients to you, and you also have an opportunity to have a greater impact with your message. So I'll be offering a step-by-step system that's going to help you with that. But first, I want to just share with you 7 ways that you can make the most of your stories. So we're talking about monetizing your message. How do you take your message and your story and your talks that you put together and actually monetize them for your business? And this can be used in any type of business because, as I said yesterday, speaking and storytelling is a very important skill for entrepreneurs, no matter what it is that you're doing. So, okay, there we go. All right, the first way that you can make the most of your stories and your messages, your talks, your speaking, is to for stories, take a story and embed it into your elevator pitch, which I mentioned yesterday, and it's something that Linda worked on in my course, is that, when you're at a networking event or somebody asks you, what do? You start off saying usually, hey, I'm Janelle Anderson. I'm a confidence coach for women entrepreneurs. I help them build confidence and speaking up and getting themselves out there. That's kind of, a basic elevator pitch. Well, what if I threw a story in there? What if I threw in there a condensed story of Denise? And I could say something like, for example, my client Denise felt like she was on a treadmill going nowhere when I met her. And things had gotten so bad for her that she felt like giving up on her marriage, on her business. Her health was suffering, and she was just at an all-time low. But when she met me, she decided she needed a change, and she was going to go ahead and make this decision to hire me as her coach. By the end of our work together, she had aligned herself with a better job that was better for her. Her energy was back. She had changed her mindset, her habits, and she had spit and fire back again. Her marriage was improving, and she was happier than she had been in a long time. So see how I just took that long story and kind of condensed it, and I could fit that into an elevator pitch. So you can actually do that, and it's very, very powerful to add in a little story into your elevator pitch. Because again, stories illustrate and people remember them a whole lot better, and they'll understand. Like me embedding that story when I'm talking about me being a confidence coach illustrates it in the listener's mind of how that might look in somebody's life. So another thing that you can do to make the most of your stories is, of course, weave them into your signature talk. If you are speaking, say, at an event and you have like a 30-minute opportunity to speak, take your stories and put them in that talk. And I actually have a teaching that I do that helps you to build your whole signature talk and weave in your stories, but exactly how to put together a talk so that, it makes sense and it takes people along a path, a journey from one point to the next, and you have a main objective at the end of your talk, how to put that all together. You can also weave stories into webinars. You can weave them into workshops. Workshops are different than webinars. Webinars are more, non-participatory. Your people are there just listening to you. They can chat, but they're not on screen like we're doing here. And the person is presenting. Usually they have a PowerPoint and they're presenting, and they have a journey they take you on. They have key points, and they're speaking on a certain topic. And usually at the end of a webinar, they are offering something, a paid program of some kind. Whereas in a workshop, it's more It's like what we're doing this weekend. This is very workshop style, where you're participating, you're talking and sharing, you're going into smaller groups, you're taking part in activities as I'm teaching the material. But in all of these, you can share stories. I've been sharing stories all through this. When I give a webinar, I share stories. So stories can be used everywhere. Illustrate your key points with your stories when you are interviewed on podcasts and summits, or when you're doing a webinar or a workshop. So podcasts and summits are a little bit different. They're usually interview style, conversation style, where you have a host who's asking you questions and you're talking back and forth. And if you go into those with some key points that you want to bring out in that conversation, then, and stories in mind already, then you're ready. So usually with a podcast or a summit, they'll ask you ahead of time, are there any questions you want me to ask you? And you send them to them. And so you want to make sure your questions are intentional and are going to lead everyone through the path, I guess you could say, like you would be giving a talk, but it's more conversational, but still giving the same information. And so you can purposely send the right questions to that host to ask you, and then you have your stories that you're going to tell at different points. Sometimes in podcasts and summits, they're going to ask you a question you weren't prepared for, so you have to be ready for that too, because that happens all the time. And that just takes a lot of practice. And then you can share your stories in your live videos on social media. That's a really great place. You can share a really short 2-minute story and do a live and have a call to action, like at the end, reach out to me, click on this link, go here, do this, go that, do this, do that. Give them something to do to connect with you. But be intentional then about your stories. What are your stories about, and what do you want your people to feel and do at the end of the story? What's the purpose of the story? So that's a great way to create connection, to create engagement, to keep people engaged with you and in your audience and interacting with you. It's like Linda just said, she's been following me for a long time and engaging with me in my Facebook group, and we've talked on Zoom a few times, and we've been in connection. She stayed connected to me. And then when she was ready, she jumped in to my course. So that's, again, talking about nurturing relationships with the people you're drawing to you. So the purpose here of learning how to speak and tell stories is to get you out there, to make you visible, to draw people to you. And then once you draw them to you, what do you do with them? And that's where, sharing live videos, and I'm going to talk here in a little bit about in my program how, I help you to know what to do and how to monetize through giving away a freebie and drawing or sending out emails and beginning to build your list and staying in touch with people. And that's how you start to monetize all those stories you're telling. Use your why story in your About Me page on your website or a video. I have a couple videos on my website. I have one that's more of a empowerment video. It's sort of it's more of a motivational, inspirational story. I had a professional videographer do it, and it's pretty cool. It's me walking like hiking through the woods up to an overlook, and while I'm doing that, there's music in the background, and then I'm saying different things, and really it's all about inspiring women to go for their dreams and to not be held back. And at the very end, I do a call to action, like I can't wait to work with you kind of a thing. And it's a really cool video. I'm not talking directly on the video. It's my voice over basically that is woven in underneath, and it was done by a professional, so it's pretty cool. But you can just get on Zoom and record yourself, in a couple of 2-3 minute video about why you do what you do. And that way your audience really gets to know you. They get to see you in action. They get to feel your energy. They feel more connected to you. So that's another way you can use your stories. You can spice up your email campaigns with stories. When you're sending out an email, mix it up. Sometimes, just send out an email that inspires people and throw in a story. You could throw in a little video story. Tell people what you've been through, this week. I thought about the other day, I burnt my toast and, I thought, well, I could make a whole story about burnt toast and about how, your day starts off burning your toast and then the next thing happens and then the next thing happens. And then how do you deal with your mindset and get yourself back in a better frame of mind? Like you could build a story around your everyday things and then use it, interweave those messages in it to encourage your people and just to give them something of value. You don't have to always be promoting in your emails and asking them to spend money. You can just use stories to help build relationship and help encourage people. You can also use stories in your sales conversations. And this is really, really important. So you're in a sales conversation. This person they're interested maybe in a discovery session, and you start to share with them what it is you do and how you can serve them and help them. Use a story. Like I did with, the story of Denise or the story of Marguerite, somebody that you have helped in a great way. I'll be using Linda's story, I'm sure, at some point, like how you help somebody with the same thing that this person is looking for help with. All right, so my question to you is, are you monetizing your message? Are you making money with your message? Here are some ways to do that. But first of all, what are some reasons why entrepreneurs are struggling? Many entrepreneurs want to get their message out in front of more people, more of their ideal clients, but they struggle because, one, they don't have a plan or a system. And this was me a few years ago. I started my business in 2014, and I didn't even start it like most people do. I didn't get my business license and all that kind of stuff. I just started coaching people. And I started getting paid to coach people. But I didn't have a plan or a system to bring people in. You have traffic that comes to you in different ways and comes into your world in all these different streams, whether it's social media or they see you speaking somewhere, they meet you in a coffee shop. I mean, there's all these different ways people come into your world. What do you do with them? Do you have a plan? Do you have a system? The second thing is people don't have a step-by-step guidance from somebody who's maybe further along down the road to help them. Now, when I first started, I had invested over 10 grand in my coach training, and that was a lot for me at 61 years old. I had to take out a loan, get my dad to co-sign it for me, and it was really scary to do that. And I thought, what am I doing? I hope I can pay this back. And so when I was fresh out of school, I was still paying on that loan, and I hadn't started really making money yet. So I didn't have a chunk of money to invest in another 10 grand program to help me build my business. And so I had to learn on my own and just sort of piece things together from watching this webinar or going to this event or reading this book or whatever, and I learned a little bit here and there, and I was sort of trying to piece it together. And I was doing okay. I was learning some things, but I didn't have that step-by-step guidance. Like, here, this is the next thing you need to do, and this is how you do it. Especially with the technology, going behind the scenes and how do you hook everything up? I didn't have that for a while. And so I grew my business to a point, and then it came to this standstill. And for about 2 years, I wasn't growing. My list wasn't growing. I wasn't really getting new clients regularly. My income wasn't growing. And I realized, I'm at that point where I've done all I can do on my own, and I really need some help. And I need to make another big investment somewhere with someone. And so I did. I actually hired a consultant, a business consultant, paid her $5,000. She helped me some, but really not as much as I needed. And that was really disappointing. And I hate it when I spend money and feel like I don't get the value out of it because I don't like spending money. But I realized I needed to invest in my business. So then about right after that, I went to an event, which is actually happening next week, called Collaborate. And it's an event where you start to network with people and you meet a lot of other business people. And the whole point is to find people to joint venture with you. That these are people that will promote you to their audience and you promote them to your audience. So I started to begin to learn about JV partnering. And I ended up joining the program that they were promoting. And it was really an awesome program, but it was another 10 grand. And I was like, I don't know where this money's going to come from, but I feel like I need to do this. And so it was another leap of faith, and I jumped into it. And then about a month later, there was another higher program that I could add on to it for another eight grand. Ended up being another 10 grand because I had to make payments. So 20 grand. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It was scary. I had a little bit of money saved, but I really just took this leap of faith. And as I started to learn this step-by-step plan, this system, the behind-the-scenes stuff, all the stuff I didn't know before, and they created a funnel for us, and they taught us how to do webinars and all the stuff, I started making money learning what I was learning in that program, and it actually paid my payment every month. So I was making money that was paying for my program to learn the stuff that was making me money. And it built my structure that I really needed. And it's put me now in a position to really take off. And it was scary to do, but it was worth it. And I knew I needed the step-by-step guidance. And this is where I see a lot of entrepreneurs getting stuck, just like me, is this place here. They don't have a system or a plan. They don't know how to put it together. And they don't have the step-by-step guidance. And then the third big one is that they don't have accountability. Accountability, if you're a coach, you know how huge accountability is. Accountability can never be understated, how important it is, how powerful it is. We have accountability groups in my program that I'm a part of that we meet every single week. And the whole point of it is to come into that group and say, okay, this is what I got done last week. This is what I didn't get done. This is why. And now my goals for this week are this, this, and this. And we hold each other accountable. We have somebody we are going in to give an account to, that what we did, what we didn't do, what we plan to do. And then there's a brainstorming session where we give each other ideas. And it has made a huge difference. If you know that you are going to go into either a meeting with a coach or into a group and you're going to have to tell them what you got done and didn't get done, you are much more likely to actually take action and get stuff done than if you're just on your own. If I am left to myself, I will procrastinate and I'm the queen of procrastination. I will put it off and put it off and put it off. And I need that. I need accountability. I need a coach. I need a group. And so I have really seen the value of just staying in touch with somebody or a group that can hold me accountable. And so it's really important to have accountability. And then they don't have support. The support is the technical support, the expertise of that leader that knows they've been through it, what you're going through. They've done the stuff, they've built it, and they can show you what to do, but they can also encourage you and call out of you the great things that are in you. They can inspire you. They can say, hey, I see this in you, and this is where, you need to work on this. You're doing great here, but here's an area you need to work on, and I can show you how to do it. These things are so important, and if you talk to anybody that's really successful, they have these things in their life. And that's why they've been successful. So you really don't have to do it alone. And I just want to encourage you to know, even if you can't afford a program or a coach, find somebody to be your accountability partner and agree to meet with each other. And, if you can afford to jump into a program like the mastermind group I'm about to launch, that is the most powerful place to be. And it's good also to have one-on-one coaching, but there's something about a group. As you've been enjoying this group atmosphere this weekend, right, in these breakout rooms and just here in the big room and just sharing with each other, getting encouragement, getting ideas from other people. And that's what I love about the whole group aspect, is that dynamic of not just me as the leader, but as everybody in the group is sharing. Everybody comes with ideas. Everybody comes with experience. Everybody comes with their own knowledge. I learn from people that I'm coaching and teaching just as much as they learn from me. There's something really powerful in community. So I just want to encourage you to know, don't try to do this on your own. Often as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, we feel like we're alone a lot of the time. We're just in our homes, behind our computers, trying to figure this thing out. And for a while there, I had a group of local women entrepreneurs, and we would meet, I think we met once a month in person before COVID. And we were just an accountability group, basically. And it was so awesome to have that. And we all had different businesses, but to hear what they were doing and hear about their successes and their wins, and also hearing about their struggles, and we could give each other support and encouragement and say, you're going to get through this. It's okay. I've been there too. Just keep going. That's huge. That is huge. So by the end of this session, I'm going to invite you to join the Monetize Your Message Mastermind. It's a unique new program. It gives you the step-by-step system. It gives you the support you need to speak with confidence, to get booked on stages, and amplify the impact of your message. I'm really excited about this. I thought about, what did I need when I was starting out? When I hit that wall in my business, what was it I needed when I began to realize I was stuck? And I knew that I needed to learn how to speak. I knew I needed to learn how to attract more people into my business, how to build my email list, how to nurture my email list, how to put together talks, how to pitch myself to podcast hosts. How do I get on these stages in person and in the virtual world? And if I'm on a stage, what do I say? And then how do I monetize that? I needed to know all of that. That's what I started to put together. I thought, what were some tangible things I could actually give people so that by the end of the 6 months, they've got a signature talk. They've got their pitch, their elevator pitch. They've got stories that they've practiced and learned and have put together. They've learned how to approach a podcast host and pitch themselves. They've learned how to get themselves ready. They've got their questions. They've got their speaker one sheet. They have their headshots. They have their bio. They have their lead magnet. It's hooked up behind the scenes with the technology. So they've got a funnel. They've got a nurture sequence. All this stuff that I couldn't do and needed help with. How could I put together a program to help especially newer entrepreneurs that's not going to cost them 10 grand? Because probably most of you couldn't afford that right now. So I want to kind of fill that gap and come in and help women and men who are at that space where they know they need some help, but it's not going to cost them 10 grand. There's 3 pillars to my program. Message mastery, and we've been doing a lot of that this weekend. Crafting and fine-tuning your compelling message with powerful stories that speak directly to the heart of your potential clients. Some of this, we do a lot of this in the Speak Confidently to Sell course. And then in the mastermind, we're going to go even deeper and work even more so that you have that time. Because in a mastermind program, you have time to really, really fine-tune stuff and work on things. Much more time than in 6 weeks. And so in Message Mastery, that's what we're going to be working on. Your messaging, your storytelling, crafting that. And also we're going to make sure that you know what it is that your potential clients are looking for. So we'll do some work around how do you find that out. And then making sure your message and your stories speak to that. That's key. And then the second pillar is speaking mastery. And that's where we become skilled and confident as a speaker. You start working on speaking skills. You get the practice in the group, in the mastermind program. Speaking, getting feedback, hearing yourself speak, and just learning all those techniques and getting better and better. And then also, how do you get booked on those stages? So my goal with this mastermind is to help all the participants start getting booked on stages, getting on podcasts, getting on summits, getting on actual stages, getting in front of groups in various ways, becoming more visible. And as you do that, you're going to establish your authority as the expert that you already are. And the more that you're getting on these stages, the more expansive your reach is, and you become known. You start to be easier to find. I often say that really marketing your business is like putting a sign on the highway saying, here I am, because people are out there looking for you. Your people are looking for you. How are you making it easy for them to find you? One of the best ways is to begin speaking and getting out there, because you get beyond your little sphere of influence where you are now, out into the world, all over. And you're putting that sign in the road, and as they're looking, they're going to see you or hear about you. I just got a message today from somebody that found my website that needs help. She's my perfect ideal client. She just popped up out of nowhere because my sign is out in many, many roads. So, you think about it when you're on a trip, right? And you're like, oh, I want some Starbucks. I need coffee right now. You look for the sign in the road that tells you here it is. And that's what you want to do. You want to get your sign in the road, and you want to be ready to get up on those stages, ready to go. So then the third pillar is selling mastery. You got your message, you've got your stories, you started speaking, you're out there on stages. Now what do you do when you start getting people on your email list? People start reaching out to you wanting help. Now you've got to do something. So the third part is converting those leads that come to you into paying clients through a proven system that grows your audience, nurtures relationships, and produces streams of revenue for your business, multiple streams of revenue. So that's where we begin to work on what are some of the things you could create, multi-level things that people coming into your world could start with, and then into your higher end. And we start putting this structure around your business, this financial engine. But we also start to automate and systemize your process. When leads come to you, when somebody hears you on a podcast and they reach out to you, what happens then? And putting all the back end together, the technology together. A part of this program, you'll be creating your lead magnet, and I'll be working with you to create that, because when you are speaking anywhere, you need to have a call to action. In order to monetize that, capture the leads, don't just go speak and that's the end of it. You got to have a way for them to reach you, and they could just email you. But what is even more powerful is to have something to give them. I've got this free PDF, 10 keys to such and such, or I've got this video training. I've got this special session I could do with you, and you have that ready to go, and it has a link that puts them on your email list. And that's followed up by a sequence of emails that nurtures them. And how do you put all that together? Some of you maybe already have that, but a lot of people that I talk to that come into my world don't have all that stuff put together yet. And I remember when I didn't know how to do it, but I can help you because I have learned a ton in the last few years. So I can help you do that. So in Message Mastery, we're going to identify your core message, your magnetic message, I call it, your elevator pitch, but along with that, also your core message in everything that you do, making sure that your brand on your website and everything that you put out there is all cohesive and is sharing your core message. And like when Wendy was here yesterday, getting your LinkedIn profile to also be all cohesive and sharing your message and making sure that it's pointed towards your target market and you're not wasting time getting in front of audiences that are not your target market. How do you find your target market? And then we'll also be crafting, like I said, your compelling messages and stories. So a lot of work that we're doing this weekend, we'll be doing over a 6-month period of time. So imagine what you could develop in a group like this in 6 months. I want to tell you about Maggie. Maggie came to me. She took my course. And she's a photographer whose ideal clients are women who are afraid to get in front of a camera. They're not very confident. They're uncomfortable. And her passion is to help women feel confident in pictures, because her belief is that too often women don't exist in photos. Hardly at all. but they deserve to be. And think about the impact on their families. In fact, one of her clients actually, after she had her pictures done, I think about a year later, she passed away suddenly. And here her family had these wonderful pictures of her. Whereas prior to working with Maggie, she wasn't hardly in any pictures. So Maggie has this message to women that you're worth feeling confident and beautiful and getting in front of a camera and existing in photos because you matter and you exist. And so she came into the course to work on her message, and she now has a compelling message. It directly speaks to the fears of her audience and to their desire to have beautiful photos of themselves. And she has a wonderful story she developed. Her biggest struggle in speaking actually comes in with being on camera, which is kind of funny because she's a photographer. But she says, put me down in a coffee shop, talking one-on-one, or even in a networking group, I'm good. I can talk all day. I'm not nervous. I'm fine. You put me in front of a camera, I freeze. My mind goes blank. I become a nervous wreck. And so she wanted to really work on that. And she said, really what it comes down to for her is that she wants people to like her. How many of us feel the same way? You want people to like you, right? She says, I want them to work with me. And so what I'll do is, because I'm nervous about that, I'll start to discount my services because I don't have the confidence that people will see the value in my services. So she's dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome there. And so she gets on camera or in front of a group like in Zoom, and she just freaks out and she starts stumbling over her words. But she is working on it. In fact, she is starting to get on podcasts. Super proud of her for this. And she knows that being persistent, and if she just keeps showing up, then she will make it. Those are the entrepreneurs that make it. So she is now stepping out there and getting herself on podcasts in spite of her nervousness. She's going to be on my podcast, and I'm super excited. I can't wait. But what's helping her to do this is that she's been practicing, getting in front of people, introducing herself, using her message, using her story. And even though she might flub the words and she knows, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm going to keep doing it. She's going to do really, really well because she's going to show up authentically. And if she flubs her words, that's okay. I can't tell you how many podcasts I've been on where I've flubbed up here and there, but I'm just showing up as me, and I don't go into them trying to be somebody I'm not. And so her confidence is going to continue to grow as she practices. After she went through my course, she said, I feel like I have a good magnetic message now. I've even reached out to one of my groups to give a presentation for real. And I'm doing at least one photo shoot a week. I feel much more confident about being out there and talking to people. And I feel better about being on video too. So she has done really well. Now, the speaking mastery pillar. As I said, we're going to develop some speaking skills. We're going to build this own the room confidence. I'll be talking more about that tomorrow. But that mindset shift, how do you build this confidence where you feel like you can go in and I own the room right now. This is my stage. I've got it. Instead of feeling like you want to run and hide and disappear. And so we will work on that too, is just having that inner confidence to just show up with confidence and own the room. And that makes a huge difference in how you deliver your message and your talk. People can tell when you're confident, and when you're confident, they're going to trust you more. They're going to listen to you more. And if you're not confident, people pick up on that, and that makes them kind of pull back and like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I trust this person because they don't seem very confident. We're also going to be designing your signature talks and putting that together, and we're going to help you get booked on stages. So Allie, oh, this is such a great story. She's a vice president of a Domino's Pizza franchise in our area. She and her husband have over 400 people on their team. So when I started working with her as her coach, we were working on her leadership skills. But what it really came down to for her is that she had a lot of personal things she had not worked through. She had a lot of past trauma in her life as well. She's a cancer survivor. She's a sexual abuse survivor. And she had all this stuff in her she had not worked through. And it was affecting how she was showing up as a leader. She didn't have the confidence. And it was affecting her health and her relationships and her ability to lead her team. So we came in and started to unpack some of that and deal with some of that past trauma. We helped her to begin to understand the impact it was having on her life and how much potential she has to make a huge difference. And what came out of that is that she discovered that her personal story had huge value, and she found her voice to begin to share her story. She ended up writing a book, sharing her trauma story, and it's coming out in March. And she said that her work with me is what really spurred her on to actually write this book. And I'm so proud of her. I cannot wait to read the book. And she's already speaking, even before the book has launched. She's speaking in bookstores. She was invited to go speak in a bookstore up in New York City, and she lives in my area in Virginia. She's been on TV. She's starting to take her message that's in her book, and she's beginning to speak it in the world because she has begun to develop that inner confidence and valuing her story, her voice, and all of that. And her book is called Chasing Tigers in the Dark. I think it's Chasing Tigers in the Dark. Her name is Allison Shaw. So look for that book. It'll come out in March. She now calls herself the Fierce Tiger Lady. So she went from somebody that was anxious, stressed out, having a hard time leading her team, having a hard time in her family relationships, to now being the Fierce Tiger Lady who's releasing her story, who has found her powerful voice and is stepping out in the world in this big, big way. It's just amazing. And so that's what's possible for you all as you develop your speaking voice and get yourself out there. So getting booked on stages, why does that matter? As I've told you before, for me to get in front of a camera and do a podcast was huge. I was really afraid of doing that. It was my daughter who really convinced me, Mom, you got to do a podcast. And the more that I did these podcast interviews and just get on there and talk and share my heart, share my story, the better I got at it and the more fun it became. And so many people started saying, hey, I love your podcast. I love the things that you share. And like I was sharing earlier about that evidence, it was like, oh, wow. Okay, so what I have in me is important. People can find value in it. And to me, that's what's even more important than monetizing my message, is actually making a difference. But I do need to monetize my message because I need money like anyone else. So I want to talk about the difference between podcasts and summits here just real quick. So podcast, this is just one graphic from a podcast I was on recently called The Sally Curtis Show. So a podcast is usually interview or conversation style. It's not usually where you are presenting, you are being interviewed. And the cool thing about podcasts is once you do an episode, and they're usually pre-recorded, they're out there forever. So somebody could run across your episode a year after you've recorded it and reach out to you. It's one of the most powerful things about podcasts. They're out there. You could still be speaking to that person or to your ideal audience a year from now from that one interview that you did. And that's why it's important to have some way for them to connect with you and get on your list. And the other thing that's really cool is that it's usually pre-recorded and then it gets promoted by the podcast host and by you. And they'll send you a graphic like this that you get to put out there on social media, or you can send out by email and promote it before it is released or after it's released. And the other cool thing is they're promoting it to their audience. So everyone that listens to their podcasts or is on their list is seeing your face and your topic title And if they come and listen to your talk, then they're getting to know you. And if you have a freebie, they can click on that link and get on your list. The disadvantages to podcasts is that it's only promoted by you and the host. But they live forever, and that's what I love about it. So when you are getting on podcasts, you need usually a speaker one sheet or a profile of some kind. They're going to ask you for a list of questions. They're going to ask you for a bio, a headshot. What's the title of your talk? And if you have a speaker one sheet, it gives them an idea of all that stuff and what are some of the topics you talk on. What is your website? What are your links? What are you giving away? And if that's all put together in this really nice, beautiful PDF speaker one sheet, it's very impressive and looks very professional. You also need to have good lighting and a good microphone and backdrop. And those are things that you can put together very inexpensively, actually. It doesn't really cost a lot of money to put together your little studio. Mine is right here in the corner of my basement. I got some lighting from Amazon, a microphone from Amazon, and I can just come over here and plug in and I'm ready to go. I don't have to keep setting it up all the time. And it works really nicely. The other thing you need for podcasts is to have a plan ahead of time, like I was saying. Those questions should lead the host through your plan to get to that end result. You remember we talked about begin with the end in mind. So whatever your objective is, whatever you want the message to be, you want to put together your questions in such a way that it kind of leads through that. But like I said, sometimes the host is going to ask you questions that you didn't expect, and you got to be ready for that. So practicing is what really helps. And then you need that freebie so that they can opt into your list. And then speaking on summits. A summit is usually something that rolls out over a week or two. They're either live or pre-recorded, and usually the host will gather 20 to 40 speakers. So you think about that, there's 20 to 40 speakers being promoted on this summit. So you're not the only one. In a podcast, when you're being promoted, it's just you. On a summit, you're one of 20 or 30 or 40. Usually, if they pre-record it, they'll set up a time with you to interview you, and it's very much like a podcast. Same kind of deal. You send them all the information, the questions, the headshot and the bio, and all of that. And usually, a summit will have a theme, and they'll often ask you what's the title, what are you going to talk on. Some summits want you to present, so you could show a PowerPoint and you're the only one talking and you just present a talk. Sometimes they're interviews. Usually they're interviews. The cool thing about a summit that really helps, it's a really great list builder because all of those speakers are promoting it to their list. So if you have like 20 to 40 speakers, they're all going to promote the summit. So you are getting in front of all those people, not just another, the podcast host audience. You're getting in front of a bunch of people. And so then people usually sign up for the summit. And if it's live, they can opt in and come in and watch the live interviews, whichever ones they want to listen to. And then usually with the summit, they'll have a list of all the giveaways. Sometimes you can opt into a VIP and get the recordings. And that way you'll get in front of more people, the VIP people who've opted in, they'll get the recordings and they'll watch you maybe more than one time. If they're pre-recorded, what usually happens is they get sent out through email over about 2 weeks. And every day they feature maybe 1 or 2 interviews. It's a great list builder because as people are opting into the summit, when they go to your interview, then they can opt into your freebie that you put up there. So you have the opportunity to get even more people on your list over a 2-week period of time, whereas with a podcast, it can take longer. With a summit, it's sort of condensed into this shorter period of time. So it's a great list builder. You also have to have an opt-in freebie to capture leads. The disadvantage is that your interview doesn't live forever. Usually it's taken down after the summit ends. The host might give people a certain number of days to watch the interviews, but they don't live forever unless the host takes all of those interviews and makes it into like a course, but most of the time they don't. It's a good idea to do that, but most of them don't. So that's a disadvantage. And there's a lot of different summits out there, and this is an example of some graphics that I got from the host. So on the left, you see all the speakers in there. I'm up there at the top. So there's a lot of people, but then you usually have one by yourself that you can promote to your list about your talk. And so you get some really nice graphics, and you're out there. You're putting your sign in the road when you're speaking on these things. Now there's a bunch of other stages also you can get on. You can be featured in a Facebook Live interview inside of a group or on a page. You can go to a virtual meetup. I just did one on the Entrepreneurs International Network. That one happens to be a huge meetup. It's actually a combination of lots of meetups. And there's something like 80,000 people on this list. And they have every Tuesday they feature a speaker, and it's a presentation. So you bring a PowerPoint and you talk on a topic, and you get a whole hour. And that video lives on YouTube. The first one I did with them, I've gotten now over 200 views on that video. And then the last one I just did, last time I looked, was over 100 already. So again, you have your freebie and they can connect with you. Networking groups will sometimes ask you to present. The ABWA is American Business Women's Association, and they have a speaker every time. WPN is Women Prosperity Network, and there's a bunch of others where they might invite you to come and talk for a few minutes or a half hour or whatever. So these are opportunities. Conferences, business meetings. Sometimes businesses will hold staff retreats and professional development meetings. Allie, the one I told you about where she wrote her book, they brought me in to talk to their management team on energy leadership. It's a talk I often give, especially to help people work together better and show up in the right attitude, how to deal with stress. And we played games and really cool things, but you can bring your expertise into situations like that. Civic groups, like Kiwanis and Lions Club, and there's women's groups all over the place. There's book clubs and other types of clubs. So there's lots of opportunities to speak on many, many different types of stages, whether it's virtual or in person. Here's an example on the left. I just did this with my publisher. We spoke inside of a person's Facebook page. The host, Eileen, does a weekly show on her page, and she brings in a speaker, and she asked me and Becky to come in and speak. And so we had this awesome opportunity. That will live on her page and could be seen by lots of people. And then I can promote it. I promoted it. Becky promoted it. So you're getting out in front of like 3 different audiences. And the one on the right was the EIN one that I was just talking about. So that's on YouTube. That's going to live out there. People can see it a year from now. And it's all about storytelling, right? So there's so many opportunities to stick your sign out there in the road. So I hope that you're getting a vision for all the possibilities out there for how you can get your brand out there through speaking and storytelling. So selling mastery, that was all like speaking mastery. So selling mastery is once you've got these leads coming to you, you have to have something to sell to them. And it might be a program, it might be a course, it might be a session with you, something. You have to have something. And so in my program, we help make sure that you have that. It's sort of like creating this client journey, that they come through. And then you need a system. How do you keep track of all those leads? How do you follow up with them? And you are building your community, you're nurturing those relationships, and you're closing more sales. So we also talk about how to close more sales, how to have those sales conversations. And remember, Maggie struggled with that, closing the sale and not discounting your services, but having the confidence in the value that you offer and learning how to maneuver through all those conversations in an authentic way where you're showing up in service and you're not trying to be salesy and awkward, which I absolutely hate. So I teach you how to do all of that. So you can see how much more there is to learn, right? So I want to just share with you the Monetize Your Message Mastermind, the features of this program, and see if it might be something that you want to join. As I said, this is the first time I'm launching it, so it's my beta group. So I will have a special offer for you all. It won't stay at that price, but because I'm just starting it, it's going to be a pretty special offer. So the first thing that you'll get is a customized roadmap. So I know that, not everybody's at the same place. So we're going to work with you to create a customized strategy and plan that fits your unique needs and situation where you are in your business. And every 4 months, well, this is going to be a 6-month mastermind that could become a year if you want to extend it for a year. I'm starting it at 6 months so you can get a really good idea. And if it's really helping you, you can stay in another 6 months. So every 4 months, we're going to review your plan, make sure it's aligned with your personal life journey, your vision, your big picture strategy, so you can continue to grow. So a quarterly plan, we want to make sure you're staying on your plan and staying aligned with your goals. And that value, the values here, when I bring up values, it means if you were to buy this service by itself, that's kind of typically what the cost is out there in the marketplace. So to have like a customized roadmap, strategy, and plan with a coach is going to be at least $497. It's like a coaching session. And then this is the meat of the program, these group mentoring sessions. This is where we really can dig down deep and make sure that you are putting together everything, your talks, your stories, your speaker one sheet, your profile, learning how to talk on podcasts, all the stuff, right? So there's going to be 2 a month, 2 hours each, a total of 12 group mentoring sessions. And this is the most value of the whole program. And by itself, it's worth at least $3,000. So what we'll do in those sessions is we're going to craft and hone your messages and stories like we've been doing this weekend. We're going to build and sharpen your speaking skills. We're going to get you ready to be featured on podcasts and summits. Believe me, if I can do it, you can do it. And in the last 2 to 3 years, I've probably been on 100. I haven't tracked all of them, but I know in the last year I counted, and it was over 40 just in the last year. And I probably left some of them out. And when I look at that, I'm just like, I was thinking about this today, like I'm amazed at how many of these things I've been on. And once you start speaking on them, you'll start getting requests. People will find you and they'll start asking you to be on their summit or on their podcast. In fact, I have 2 sitting in my email box right now that I need to answer, 2 or 3 of them to speak on summits. As soon as I got my book out there, I got 2 requests to speak. And it just starts to multiply. So we'll get you ready so that you can say yes when those opportunities show up. You're ready to go. So we're going to help you create your opt-in lead magnet and design the funnel behind the scenes. We're going to help you construct your email nurture sequence. So what do you say in those emails for people just joining your list? We're going to plan your signature talks, maybe 1 of them, maybe 2. We'll see how it goes. We're also going to design networking strategies and start building collaborative partnerships. I'm going to teach you how to do that, how to start getting ready to use a JV partner and what does that mean and how powerful that is. We're going to work on your sales conversations. We're going to role play. We're going to help you really get good at that and much more. So those group meetings are, like I said, the meat of the program. And you'll get the recordings of those meetings. So if you can't come live, you're going to have access to the recordings so you won't miss anything. In addition to those twice a month classes, you're also going to have access to weekly office hours live on Zoom. They're optional. You can come in when you need it. You'll be signing up for 15-minute time spaces that are just for you. If you have a specific question, you come in, or you can just come in and watch and see what other people are asking for help. People that have scheduled that will get top priority. But if there's time and you didn't schedule it and you're sitting there, you can ask a question. But this is where, like say you're trying to create your lead magnet and you have a specific question, or you're trying to come up with your speaker one sheet or find a podcast or work on your story or whatever it might be, you can come into these weekly office hours, get personal guidance, get feedback, the how-tos. How do I do this? How do I hook up my email thing? How do I do this? And that has a value of at least $2,000 because it's like a course almost, right? It's weekly. So in 6 months, what's that? It's 24 weeks. So it's a lot of help. And I purposely packed in here a lot of opportunities to get a lot of support and a lot of accountability because I know how important that is. So on top of that, you also get 2 Speak Up Labs a month. Again, these are optional and they get recorded so you can watch them. And Linda knows what these are like because they're in my course as well. They're kind of like that Speaker Sisterhood, Toastmaster, kind of like what you've been doing in the breakout rooms. So they'll be twice a month. They'll be for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on how much time.
Speak Up Labs are
Go ahead.
stressful. Stressful, but fun.
Well, they're challenging. Let's put it that way. You get to speak. You get to get valuable feedback, and it helps you to increase your confidence. And yeah, they can be challenging, purposely challenging so that you can grow. And then, that has a value. If I were to add up all the whole year of Speaker Sisterhood and, what that would cost for 6 months, it's like $300 value there. You also are going to get a special session, but this is going to be ongoing. But I'm also going to have one special session that really focuses on how do you get yourself ready to be a guest on a podcast, how to be a much requested guest speaker. Plus, you're going to get a guest spot on my podcast, and we'll practice before you come on. And then you'll get to be a guest on my podcast. That'll be maybe your first podcast. And then you're going to learn how to find those other podcasts, how to get yourself ready to get on them, and how to find the right ones to get on. So that has a value of $500. On top of all that, I'm also going to give you access to monthly tech training modules that give you behind the scenes, step-by-step instructions on how to do different software platforms, the ones that I know, email platforms, how do you edit. I have an editing software I use to edit my talks, my videos. How do you hook up your nurture sequence, the podcast software, the podcast platforms that are out there to find podcasts. What else is, lead pages. I use ClickFunnels, all that kind of technology. There are specific platforms that I know really well. And then whatever you're using, I can probably walk you through how to do that. And then, that's like worth $2,000. If you were to hire somebody to help you, that they're going to charge at least that, if not more. You'll also get access to the course, Speak Confidently to Sell, that Linda's been talking about. You're going to have that included in your package. It's a 6-week online course. It helps you build confidence in speaking up, crafting your magnetic message, connecting to your ideal audience. You learn basic speaking and storytelling techniques. It's recorded. You can watch the recordings, and you can come to the live version in May when it starts. And I sell that usually for $9.97. You're going to have a private support group, a membership in a private support group, and like a Facebook group to receive guidance. You can come in there and ask questions. You can try out your videos, try out your stories, get feedback, and just enjoy being part of a community. And paid programs, sometimes they'll charge up to $1,000 for something like that. But that's a part of the program. You can have access in there anytime. Pop in there, ask a question, ask if somebody else knows, and just being accountable, having that community. It's huge. You're going to get lots and lots and lots of program materials, access to downloadable materials like templates, blueprints, scripts, worksheets. There's videos. There's all kinds of things I have in my toolbox. So you have a ton of materials to help you. It's valued at $200, really probably more. Now I have a bonus for you. This is going to be amazing. This is a Craft Your Talk VIP intensive, and it's an exclusive 3-day intensive workshop just for the people within my mastermind, where we are going to work together to put your signature talk together from start to finish. And I have an ebook that helps you to do that. We're going to work through that and actually, from start to finish, have your talk all mapped out so that you can be ready to present that if you're called upon, to give a presentation in one of these places that I've been sharing with you. So that's included, and that's worth at least $1,000. It's like a course. And then bonus 2 is, this is really super, super special. We're going to do for you a speaker one sheet. We're going to put it together for you. We're going to talk about what you want in it, but then we're going to design it for you. It's going to be professional, just a stunning speaker one sheet designed for you by our team. So all you have to do is tell us what the information is. We're going to design it. That's worth probably more than $200. Here's mine, just to give you an idea of what that can look like. So it'll have your picture, a little bit about you, your topics, how people can get in touch with you, some of the things maybe you've already been on, and it looks nice and professional, and it's something you can send off to podcast hosts, summit hosts, conference hosts, anybody. And often people will ask you, do you have a speaker one sheet? So we're going to actually create that for you. And the third bonus, which I'm super excited about, you're going to get a one-on-one session with LinkedIn expert Wendy Hatton. She will actually analyze your LinkedIn profile with you right there on the spot. She's going to give you suggestions to improve it so that it stands out more. And she's going to give you design strategies to use your LinkedIn profile to grow your business. So that's super magnificent. And she usually charges, I think she told me $400 or $500. That's going to be part of the package. So the total value of all of this comes to over $10,000. Remember, I was telling you most of these programs charge that. Well, of course, I'm not going to charge you that. And regularly, I would charge more like $5,000 for this. But I'm not charging that right now because this is my beta group. I'm actually going to give you all my first people, whether it's you or other people, but you're the first to hear about it. I'm going to give you an exclusive price as a beta group because I really want to get a group started and try this out. And I'm going to give you that price in a minute. Now, I love it when people act fast. And in a minute, Raj is going to drop the link in the chat that you can go and sign up right now. And if you take action before the end of our event tomorrow, or actually the first 5 people here, because I can only handle 5, the first 5 people will get 3 60-minute one-on-one coaching sessions with me, which is huge because then you have personal time with me to really dive into your specific plans, goals, what's blocking you, all that stuff. So you get 3 of them if you act fast and you're one of the first 5 people enrolled, and that has a value of $1,500. So that's super cool. So my exclusive offer today for you is $37.97. All that I just shared with you for $37.97. Super excited about it. It is a one-time offer. I don't think I would offer it at this price ever again. So for the next 6 months, you invest in yourself and in growing your business, getting your speaking skills up there, getting yourself out there, attracting clients, making money. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you get to try it out for a whole month. And if it's not fitting, if it's not helping you, if you're showing up to the classes and doing all this stuff and taking advantage of the office hours and the Facebook group and all that stuff, and you don't think it's working for you, within the first 30 days, you can say, Janelle, this just isn't working for me. Can I have my money back? And I'm going to say, sure. I'm going to give you your money back. Because I don't want you to stay in there and be miserable. I don't want you to be unhappy and not get out of it what you really want. That isn't good for me. It's not good for you. So I want to give you a whole month to try it out. And there is a stipulation with this. You cannot get the one-on-one with Wendy or the speaker one sheet or anything else where I have to pay money out until after the 30 days and until after you've paid at least $1,500 into the program, because I can't lose money, right? So that's the only stipulation, but you get everything else for that first 30 days. And you can, the way that we're going to do this, you don't have to pay that $37.97 right now. The only thing you can do today is to reserve your spot for only $197. And when you reserve your spot and you go to that link, and Raj, you can put the link in there if you haven't already. Yes, there's payment plans. Yes, I'm going to tell you about that. Raj is going to put the link in there. And when you go in there and you click on the link to sign up, the only thing you're going to pay today is $197. And then you'll see on the sales page on the bottom, there's these payment plans. You don't have to choose them today, but what you're going to do after you reserve your spot for $197 is you're going to then schedule a session with me in the next week or two, because we're starting this the week of March 7th. And I want to have a time to talk with you and really find out what you're all about, what you really want to get out of this, and what your payment plan would work for you. And if you get into that session with me and you're like, no, I changed my mind, I don't think I want this, that's okay. You don't have to stay in it. We won't take your money. I'll give you back the $197. So there's really no risk here to at least try it out and see if it's going to work for you. Like I said earlier, sometimes you have to take a leap and invest in yourself. And I tried to make this something that can really help people to take this next step without it being 10 grand. So the payment options are, you pay $197 today or tomorrow, and then you can pay the balance in one lump sum by March 7th, which is the start date, $3,600. Or you could pay $197 today, and you could pay 2 monthly payments of $1,800, March 7th and April 7th. Or $197 today and 3 monthly payments of $1,200, March 7th, April 7th, May 7th. If you pick one of those, you're not going to be paying anything extra. It'll be just the $37.97 total. But if you need something broken down into like 6 monthly payments that are the same, you can't do the big chunks up front. We do have a monthly payment, but it does add in a little bit of, sort of like interest. You do end up paying a little bit more. So you pay $197 today, and we'll take the balance and divide it into 6 monthly payments. But like I said, you will end up paying more. So you definitely save money by doing one of the first 3. But if you need to, we can break it into 6 payments of $726.50. And if you need something even different than one of these, we can talk about that in our session. So there's a lot of different ways we can do this. Let's say you have a chunk you could put up front, and then you want to break it down. Like maybe you want to pay half, but you need to divide the rest of it up. Or maybe you need smaller payments to begin with and a bigger chunk at the end. So we can figure that out. There's a lot of different things we can do. So don't think that there's no hope for you if you really feel like this is what I want. Come to the session. Pay the $197, come to the session, and we can talk it out and work it out. So Monetize Your Message Mastermind has all these features. Customized roadmap, 12 group mentoring sessions, weekly office hours, 12 Speak Up Labs, podcast guest speaker training, monthly tech training modules, access to the Speak Confidently to Sell online course, membership in a private support group, and the bonuses, Craft Your Talk VIP intensive 3-day training, which the date is to be announced, Done For You Speaker One Sheet, the LinkedIn profile assessment and profit plan consult with Wendy, and then the fast action bonus is 3 one-hour private coaching sessions with me for the first 5 people that enroll. Whew, pretty cool. So I tried to include a lot of great stuff in here. I'm not going to go through this because if you're interested in going another level and getting one-on-one mentorship with me, that's what's included here. But I can share that with you in our group, in our meeting online. But that's just adding in on top of the group sessions, one-on-ones with me for the entire 6 months. And like I said, you can get in here for 6 months. I made it 6 months as opposed to a year to give people a chance to try it out. And by the end of the 6 months, you might be well on your way, but you might need more time. And so you can stay in for another 6 months at that same price. I'll probably be charging more by then, but you'll be grandfathered in. And once you're in it for a whole year, if you want to stay connected and continue coming to the meetings and continue in the community and getting help and all of that, there will be like a more of a monthly membership fee that'll be a whole lot less, just, probably $97 a month or something, 100, 150. I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking $97 a month, where you can just stay connected beyond the first year, because I want to keep you in my world. I want to keep helping you. So that was a lot to go through, and thank you for sticking it out and staying in here with me. I would like to take a few minutes and see if anybody has any questions about the program, anything at all about what I just shared. Linda?
First of all, I really want to just take the time to really thank you, because you are really an inspiration to a lot of people, because it's just like a lot of times you think of what to do and you're just like, where do I start? Like, I want to be successful. I want to make money. I just don't know where to. So it's just like, I really appreciate you. I think that you being a coach is just magnetizing. So thank you. So the first 5 participants got that 60-minute, and then you're going to talk to us about like extra things. Okay. And then what if we talk that first week and then, it doesn't work out, or, know?
Yeah, good question. Definitely. So if you pay the $197, reserve your spot. So that means that you're reserving a spot in the program. And then you come to the session with me and we talk it out and we look at all the financing and we make sure it's a good fit for you, because I'm going to want to ask you, like, what's your situation? What are the things you really are trying to work on? And I want to make sure it's a good fit for you and that it's actually going to give you those results. And if I think, well, I don't know that I can really help you, I don't know that I can give you those results, then I'm not going to say you should be in the program. I'm going to just tell you this program isn't right for you. And then I'm going to give you your $197 back, and we will have had a wonderful conversation. And then if you feel like, well, I don't know, I don't really feel like this is right for me, or I can't quite work out the finances, and we can talk through the finances. Like, sometimes it's just a mental block. It's a mind. I've had years of struggling with scarcity mindset. I told you guys, like, jumping into my coaching training was so scary. And then investing this 20 grand last year, or actually it ended up being 25 because of that consultant I hired. That's a huge amount of money. So I can help you, to figure out, is it that I just can't afford it, or am I just scared? We can like talk through that. And if you still feel like, no, I don't think so, I'm going to give you your $197 back. So.
No, I'm pretty sure it's going to be great, okay. But I just want to see. Okay, thank you.
Good question. That's really a really good question. Thanks for answering that. And it's nice to see your lovely face.
Thank you. You're lovely yourself.
Thank you. Good question. Anyone else have a question? I'm going to look in the chat and make sure. Yeah, Cheryl said, I spent a heck of a lot more to learn that. Yes, most programs out there are a whole lot more. Yeah, he put the link in there. Good. Again, if you feel like, you really, this is for you, this is something you really need and want, I encourage you to go ahead and reserve your spot and have that conversation with me. Because it might be that I have something else that would fit. So in that conversation, if we come to the conclusion that this isn't really quite the fit for you, or maybe you're not ready, or maybe you just really can't afford it, then there's probably some other things that I can offer you. The Speak Confidently Sell course by itself, or, something else that I'm doing could help you. Speaker Sisterhood. There's lots of things I have going on. So, go ahead and put your $197 down, get on that call, and let's like explore this and see if it is something that could help you. Any other questions? Teria, you're unmuted. Did you want to say something?
Well, kind of. I guess I'm getting overwhelmed and brain dead, but yeah. And you just explained it, but so I did sign up, and the idea too, when we talk on the phone, but the idea that one-on-one with you, I would like, but I didn't understand when does that start? How frequently? How much money does it cost? Is it something that we could, if I need it in the beginning, use it then, but if I needed it a couple months later, start it then, and what is it and how much does it cost?
So are you talking about if you signed up already, you're going to get that extra 3 with me?
I get extra 3, so I may not need to do something else. But
yeah, and we can actually, when we have our conversation, the 197, you get on a call with me to get you onboarded and officially on and everything. And we can talk then about what, if you wanted to go the next level and get the one-on-ones all through the program, what that would cost. I just didn't want to go into that right here because I've already
okay. It's not that I missed it. It's just being held. Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Well, congratulations. I can't wait to start working with you. Make sure you book that session. Okay, awesome.
Janelle?
Yes, Linda.
I signed up too, but I'm not seeing my payment in my payment record, so I'm signed up. I'm signed up. It'll show up sometime or I'll redo it.
I'll check on it for you and make sure it went through.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good job. Yes, you can sign up tomorrow. Absolutely. I will actually bring it back around tomorrow and kind of go over it again and give you the link tomorrow. Let's see what the question. The 197 reserves your spot, and that's what you pay today or tomorrow. Yeah, and then the rest of the payments we work out. Whichever payment plan is going to work for you. We'll get that all set up in our one-on-one session. That's going to be like an onboarding call. It's going to be a call to make sure this is the right fit for you, make sure you're really on board, you're committed to it, you're 100% there, and then we set up your payment plan from there. So all you're spending right now is $197. Tomorrow as well, yes. Yes, same deal tomorrow, $197. Yes. All right. You guys are asking great questions.
I will tell you from personal experience, anything Janelle does, she goes over and above teaching what you would pay with someone else. She's just excellent, an excellent teacher, and will absolutely, you'll get a $10,000 value for 37.97, whatever it was. I just truly personally vouch for her.
Oh, thank you, Linda. And I have to say, I didn't put her up to any of this.
Oh, but I expect a referral fee.
Oh. Okay.
So I do have to say, I feel your energy. And I think it's great.
Awesome. Well, good. I'm excited. I'm excited to work with you all. And those of you that are signing up, I'm super excited. This has been a dream of mine for a long time, to get a group together and to really get into it with you and really, the nitty gritty and get this stuff going and see you succeed, see you begin to build your business and get your message out there and become really good at speaking, all this stuff. It's like so exciting to me. Thank you, Catherine. You're amazing too. Awesome. All right. Well, we've been sitting for a good amount of time. I do have one little, oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. I am famous for offering a whole lot more than I charge for, but that's okay. So let's take a quick bio break. Let's go for 8 minutes. So that means 5:30 Eastern time. And then I have a little bit more to talk about today on emotions so that you can add that into your story that you're creating. So go take your bio break. We'll be back here at 5:30.